We take you now straight to Tel Aviv, Israel. You'll see Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu there. He's taking questions from reporters and not only talking about the latest on this war against Hamas, but also the release of an Israeli hostage, an IDF female soldier. In addition to taking questions about if indeed he sees himself resigning amid all this, he's said absolutely not.
Mr Prime Minister, Chris Reason from Channel 7 Australia. I want to ask a question from my country, and the people in my country are looking at this and wondering, they agree with you, they want you to chase down Hamas and terrorism and destroy terrorism in this region, etc. But people can't understand why so many civilians have to die in this process. You argue that Hamas is putting them up as human shields. Is that a good enough excuse? Are you inflicting here collective punishment on the people of Palestine?
Not a single civilian has to die. Hamas merely has to let them go to the safe zone that we created in southeastern Gaza Strip. There's a safe zone there. Not a single civilian has to die. But Hamas is preventing them from leaving, keeping them in the areas of conflict. So I think that you should direct your questions to Hamas. But I can tell you one thing. We're going out of our way to prevent civilian casualties, not only by asking civilians to move, calling them to move, arranging a place for them to be, which is safe, also putting in humanitarian support, providing them with the means, with food, with water, with medicine, and so on. I think that this question should be placed on Hamas, and the more it's placed on Israel, the more you're going to see this repeated again and again and again. So other groups, other criminal states, other criminal organizations will use civilians as human shields. We cannot give immunity to these terrorists. We cannot give immunity to these savages. We have to do everything we can to minimize civilian casualties, but we cannot give up the fight, because then I think this will have disastrous consequences, not only for the future of my country, but for the future of your country, your countries. This is a battle of civilization against barbarians. The barbarians will do something that civilized countries will never do. And civilized countries will make every effort to prevent this. And I'll give you one example. And I'll end with that because I have to go to manage this war and lead it. In 1944, the Royal Air Force bombed the Gestapo headquarters in Copenhagen. It's a perfectly legitimate target. But the British pilots missed. And instead of the Gestapo headquarters, they hit a children's hospital nearby. And I think 84 children were hardly burned to death. That is not a war crime. That is not something you blame Britain for doing. That was a legitimate act of war with tragic consequences that accompany such legitimate actions. And you didn't tell the Allies, don't stamp out Nazism because of such tragic consequences. They went to the end because they knew that the future of our civilization was at stake. Well, I'm telling you right now that the future of our civilization is at stake. We have to win this war. We'll do it by minimizing civilian casualties, and may we succeed. Thank you.
Ron Dermer, Minister Dermer, is in the War Cabinet.
Well, you just heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, asked a number of questions. Of course, he was talking about the release overnight of the IDF soldier, that young female private who is now back with her family. He was also asked questions even about resigning, which he absolutely said he will never do until he takes down Hamas, focusing back to that and the war efforts there. And also his just basically telling reporters he's going to win this war at any cost, and he's going to do it as much as as hard as he can without more loss of life of innocent civilians.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.